Hello YouTube, welcome to our next video on attack strategies, and this time we're looking at compartment bases for Town Hall 10, but a lot of what we're talking about will be relevant for Town Hall 9s as well, obviously without infernos, but maybe the same principles apply, but looking for expos rather than infernos. But let's get stuck into it. So here's kind of a blueprint of sort of a Town Hall 10 compartmental base, and they generally fall into one of two categories. Either they've got double infernos in this central compartment somewhere, or alternatively they might be, which is where they are in this base, just outside that center compartment. So we'll talk about both of those cases briefly, and then we'll look at some attacks. So if you've got a base with that's compartments rather than rings, and you're attacking with Valkyries, the goal has to be to get both infernos down, and then it's worrying about everything else, because the infernos just do so much damage to your troops and prevent healing as well. So it's got to be the focus. And whilst I'm doing that, I always prefer to try and keep Valkyries tightly packed until after they've got the infernos down, and then try and spread them out to help with the cleanup. What does that mean? So let's take a look. Let's for instance, say that both infernos are centrally located. That would mean I'd be looking to build, it doesn't matter whether which side you run in from, but I'd generally be coming in from a side. I'd be clearing out these trash buildings here on the outside just to help build the funnel. Whether or not you use a jump spell on this outer box, or just let your Valkyries break through, I'd probably be tempted to open up the outer wall here with wall breakers, and then let the Valkyries burn their way through this wall, which they'd be quite good at doing. And then in terms of jump spell placement, and this is the bit that I think is key, I'd place the jump spell so it only touches that wall. I think that's really key. You don't want your Valkyries running off into these compartments whilst the infernos are still up, because that's doing the equivalent of what ring bases do. It's having all your troops run around the edge whilst the infernos take them out. So I'd certainly not do either of that, and keep all the Valkyries tightly packed whilst they're in here. Once they're in the core and the infernos are down, then on the back end for a base like this, I probably would bring a second jump spell, and I'd either place it here or here, and the goal is to open up as many compartments, because once both infernos are down, the Valkyries have done their job, and it's about helping spread them out as much as possible to take out as many remaining defenses. So it's tightly packed into the core. Once the core's down, spread them out as quickly as much as possible is kind of how I approach this. And probably there'd be a rage and a heal. A rage in through the core to get the infernos down, then a heal for the back end of the core to try and recover a bit of health on those Valks. Now, whether you do that from the top or the side, from whether you're coming from this side or that side, the principle would be the same. You'd still be doing the same thing. Let's look now at the other type of base that you might see, which is infernos to either side. Same principles apply, but obviously coming in from this side is not such a good idea. So, or the same with this side, because then you'll be approaching both infernos from the same time. So I'd generally be coming in, either from this side or this side. Same principles would apply. Let's take out these buildings to build a funnel. Break this wrong color. Break this outer wall. Oopsie daisy. Break this outer wall, drop your Valks in, let them burn through, probably with one rage about here. That does two things. One is it's going to rage them up through this first inferno, but it will also help them burn through this wall section here. I'd have a jump spell here, and I'd probably have a second jump spell ready for them here. So one rage there, one rage in through the core and on the backside, and perhaps a heal which would be dropped kind of for this compartment there. So that's all your spells just to get through the central section, and then let them burn. They'll have to burn their way through the rest of the walls, because the keys always take out both infernos. Okay. So in terms of planning the attack then, so that's kind of the general idea for the Valk. So then the question is, what about the rest of the base? And if you think about it, both of those attacks that we've just talked about have a central theme. The Valkyrie's job is basically to take care of, pretty much, in the first example, all of this. And so then the question is, what are you going to do about these edges? What's your plan for those? Are you going to queen walk along one edge here and let her take it out? Are you going to use hogs? You've got balloons, whatever it is. You need a plan for those outer compartments. Now, it may be that your Valkyries are going to spread a little bit and get a bit more damage, but in bases like this, it's unlikely that your Valks are going to survive running around the whole base, burning through walls as they go. So you need to have a plan for these other compartments. The second example we looked at, the Valkyrie's job is to take out this bit of the base, which has the Infernos and probably the Expos. So it's got quite a lot of the dangerous stuff in it. But then you've got to have a plan for these edges, and that's where kind of Queen Walk comes in and things like that. And the presence of this outer compartment here probably means that there's an air defense sat here out of range for the Queen. So you'd want to look at breaking this wall. So if you were Queen walking along here, the Queen could come in to this compartment and get access to the air defense. But let's take a look at a couple of example videos, and bear with me whilst we just switch over. Okay, welcome back. Let's check out this attack by Prodigy, which I think shows what we've been talking about really nicely. So let's just pause and take a look at the base. So you can see it's very compartmentalized. Both Infernos and 2 of the 3 Expos are in that center compartment along with the CC. So there's lots of good fruit in that CC. Prodigy does a lovely job of building a funnel for his Valkyries and taking out a couple of compartments along the way. So he's already got a couple of compartments taken out, whilst his Valkyries then run straight through, basically from top right to lower left in a straight line through this base, and then it's just a question of cleanup. So let's take a look at how Prodigy does it. First of all, he gets the CC lure with a hog, drops his Arch Queen down with a few healers there. They're going to keep her safe. A couple of wall breakers just to get her into that compartment. A couple of poison spells. Double poison like that works really nicely for taking out, by the time those balloons get to her, the poisons will actually have destroyed her, even if she wasn't destroyed them, even if the Queen hadn't been shooting at them. But so the Queen is going to basically take out one of these compartments by herself and help build a funnel. He's got a golem coming in at the top with some wizards and his king, and that's going to help do 2 things. One is it takes out one of the compartments, which is nice, but it also helps build a second part of a funnel for him and keeps his Valks focused. Now that jump spell, let's just pause and look at that jump spell, because this jump spell was absolute genius. I mentioned how you don't want your jump spells to open up too many compartments, but equally Prodigy's got he's got part of his kill squad stuck in that compartment there. So if he placed his jump spell, say, on top of the CC, so he's going to bring his Valkyries in through the remaining compartment on the upper right hand side, and if he dropped it on top of the CC, which would be kind of the typical place to do it, his kill squad would be stuck in that compartment where they are now. But just by dropping it just a little bit to the side, he's going to let his kill squad join up with where his Valkyries are going to be, but still keep all his Valkyries focused on getting into that central compartment, because he hasn't dropped it far enough over for them to access the compartment with the elixir storage, cannon, wizard tower and air defense. So it's absolute genius placement, one I'll be filing away for future reference. So his golems coming in, they're doing they're also tanking for his Valkyries have got nothing shooting at them, so they just rip this first compartment to shreds. He's got a raid spell straight into the core. Everything's in that core. He's got a heal spell whilst they're in through that core, because there's a single Inferno on the backside, so most of the Valks are going to get healed, or by one of them. Got a raid spell to get them through. So at this point, his Valkyries have run in a straight line from one side of the base to the other, as we talked about. His Queen has been slowly doing work on basically one side of the central section that the Valkyries are responsible for. And because of the way he came in with his kill squad at the top, a third of the top left side of the base has already been taken care of, and his Valkyries are going to keep running and take care of the rest of it as well. He's got a spare heal spell, quite happy. It just seems like he's got an unlimited supply of spells. It's just amazing. Just such a good attack. So his Valkyries are going to clean up one side whilst his Queen keeps going with her Queen Walk on the other side. It's all going to come together really nicely. He's got a ton of Valkyries left over because he looked after them so well on the way in. His healers are getting targeted by that air defense, but he's got a hog up his sleeve. That's going to come in and take down the air defense. Those healers probably will go down, but at this stage, look, there's nothing left, and he's got 8 or 9 Valkyries left over. Just superb, really, really nice attack. So that's how it works with compartments. Very nicely done indeed. Nice plan for one side and the other side of where the Valkyries are going to run through the core. Got one more attack for you. It's not from this war, it's from a war I recorded a long time ago, so apologies if the sound or the commentary is a little bit different style to this, but it still demonstrates the point nicely. And welcome back. Let's check out the replay and see how the attack panned out. So we'll be coming in from the bottom here. Just drop a couple of wizards down because they're out of range of all the defences there, just to get started with the funneling. Drop the Archer Queen down, a few healers on her, and look, all she's doing here is taking out trash buildings, but she's actually helping create the funnel for us. Those few wizards come in, a couple of wizard wall breakers there just to open up. They'll get a bit of a wall breaker fail, but there's a poison down for the CC troops. There's enough of a funnel made that the Valkyries just run into the wall anyway, which is kind of a bit lucky. Rage spell just to get them going. Jump spell's already down. Second rage spell in the core. See, the Queen has taken out the air defense. It's jump spell on the far side. Even with the jump spell, not all the Valkyries actually went into it. And then here's the hogs. Drop the Barbarian King down to distract, because I forgot to drop the hogs in earlier, and he is doing a decent job. Those hogs just jumped straight onto a giant bomb, which didn't help things particularly much, but they do still get the cannon down. The Queen, meanwhile, is just doing her thing gradually. The hogs get the Archer Tower down as well, which is always helpful. They're probably going to run amok and come to grief on. Didn't manage to get the Wizard Tower down, but you can see there's not that much left in the base. There's a cannon and a Wizard Tower. Pop the Barbarian King ability. The Queen's still working her way in. I was entirely focused on the Queen at this point. It's all about breaking into the wall. Can't break in yet, because if I drop the wall break, I've only got 2 wall breakers, and if I drop them now, that cannon will target them instead. So I had to wait until the cannon targeted the Archer Queen, and then you can drop the wall breakers. As it was, that air defense still started shooting at the healers. Pop the Queen's ability just to try and take it out as quickly as possible, and at this point there's only a couple of defenses left, and I know even though we lost a healer there, the 3 healers is still going to be plenty for the Archer Queen to stay up. It does take a little while because there's a bit for her to beat through here. It's just got lucky in the sense of she's coming in from the side where the air defense is close, and so she takes out the air defense first, stops that being a worry, and then for some reason she decides to shoot the wall instead of just walking to the corner and shooting that building, but she does eventually get through, and so that kind of worked relatively nicely. Wasn't completely smooth, but got the job done. So I hope that helps. The idea of this was really just to share thoughts on any base design that has a central core. It doesn't have to be this specific layout. Similar thoughts would apply to other bases. You don't have to use a Queen Walk. I tend to like them for a couple of different reasons we'll talk about some other time. But it would work equally well with, I don't know, golems coming in from a different side and some forces to back it up. It's really more breaking down the base into sections and working out, having a plan for each section. So look, hope that helped. Let me know whether it's useful or not, and we'll see you on the next one. Clash on.